What is up, guys? Today, we are going to do a Sonic Youth tier list. Do you guys like my hair tie? It's my mom's. Yes, that is right. We are going to be looking at their whole entire discography. I got a bunch of albums in front of me. We're doing that tier list thingamabobber like I did before. Second time doing this. If I mess up, god damn it. But you know what? We're going to make it work. So heck yeah, man. Before I get into the video though, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. We have a lot of followers / subscribers. So let's get more. Now, as you can see, there's a bunch of albums in front of me, including an EP, their debut EP, their self-titled right here. And I didn't make this tier list. I just found it on the tier list thing. I might just put a link down below so you guys could also play around with it if you want to. But I'm not going to include the EP just because, I didn't want to make my own tier list and I just found this one very easy. Don't want to do too much work. So we're going to ignore their EP. Also, their Whitey album. I know some people wouldn't include it because I guess it was a side project, but that's also here, but I will include it in this tier list. Yeah, let's begin with the album 1,000 Leaves. Put it at B tier. Yes, sir. Now, by the end of this video, is it going to be at the top of B tier? Probably not, but when I listen to it and I listen back to it, and the first time I listened to it, I feel like the consistency on this album is very much so top tier. I don't go back to this album that often like I do these other albums, but objectively speaking, I feel like there's not too much that gets boring within this album. Things do stay consistent, like I said. Probably the most standout banger from this album that a lot of people listen to is the song Sunday. My favorite song on here probably being Karen Coltrane. So yeah, I have it at B. Not too much analysis, but the analysis will come. Next album, we got Bad Moon Rising. And released in the 80s, Sonic Youth, Halloween aspect going on, whole Halloween spooky theme going on. And dude, right off the bat, man, A tier. From that initial sentence that I just spat out, you probably thought I was gonna put that at S tier, and I want to put it at S tier so bad. I'm not gonna do that though, just because I feel like I guess I don't really have a good reason for it not to be S. It should be A, and it's the most perfect A ever. I guess it's just not this not generational thing going on like some other albums we got going on in this discography. So that's the reason why I have it at A, but I want to talk about all the good stuff because I have so many good things to say about this album. The band dives into such a dark place, and not a Halloween spooky festivity type of place, but more so not a demonic place either. That's a little bit much. It kind of has a vibe where some delusional human is trying to take over the world. The band knew what they wanted to deliver, and they did in such a nasty way. The album is eerie. It's dark, like I said. Sorry, these words are not as captivating as the album when you listen to it, but that's the best way I can describe this album. It's damn near perfect. It's a Halloween album, I guess, but it's so much more than that. Next album on my list is Confusion is Sex. And this album starts off so strong, very, very, very strong. But towards the end, I don't want to say it falls flat, but it does just kind of wander off into something less than the beginning of this album. And for that reason, I am going to have it at B, but it's going to be, how do I do this? It's going to be ahead of 1,000 Leaves. Yeah, man. One of those albums where it's ahead of their time, and Sonic Youth is one of those bands that was about, 10 years, 15 years ahead of their time. This album is, I would say, special. It is special, but I guess the ending is really what makes it not be an A for me. Like I said, the start of this album is out of this world. The chemistry this band has at such an early stage within these albums is crazy, man. And Confusion is Sex is a great album. I would have it at B. It's like a B plus, really, if I was to get into crazy detail like that. If you wanted to put it at A or even S, maybe, I could probably see that. But respectively, I would respectfully, I would put that at B. Next up, Daydream Nation. Daydream Nation. Some might say that this is the crowning achievement of Sonic Youth's career albums of all time. And I could see that. Probably top 5, in my opinion. Not top 3. Yeah, top 5. Top 5 for sure. And for that reason, I'm putting this at A. And a lot of people would put this at S, and I totally get it. I don't know what is wrong with me. I really don't, because I want this to be the best album ever in Sonic Youth's career, because there's so much love and appreciation and the impact that this album really created for a bunch of bands in the future is crazy. And I get that, but whenever I listen to it, it's one of those things where it kind of peaks at the first half, and it's once again not falling off, but it's still strong, but it's not S tier in my mind. I listen to it and listen to it and listen to it, and I want it to be the S of S's, S tiers, but it's just not. It's not at that level. And you're probably confused. Why is it not ahead of my boy Bad Moon Rising? Bro. I would rather listen to Bad Moon Rising than Daydream Nation. And that's kind of crazy, because Daydream Nation is regarded as Sonic Youth's best album, or at least top 2. I have way more fun and enjoyment listening to Bad Moon Rising compared to Daydream Nation. And Daydream Nation has one of my favorite songs ever by Sonic Youth, and that is Silver Rocket. At A, I feel like that's not a bad place to have it. It would be quite disrespectful, and I would click off this video if I were you, if I had it at B, because I don't think it's that low. I think that would be just trying to be different, trying to be different a little bit. But yeah, I have it at A. And I don't know why I feel like a lot of you are going to get mad at me if I say that, but that is my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, next album, we got Dirty. Sonic Youth Dirty. Where am I going to place this? D. J. K. S. First S of the day. Dirty. Without a doubt. Dude, this album is incredible. And I was kind of going back and forth with this one, either A or S, but in my humble opinion, my dumb toes opinion, this album has that sort of level of destruction that Sonic Youth always has, or had, since they're not a band anymore. And it's the highest level of that destruction they have ever created in terms of the production, instrumentals in this album is so entertaining. And another Butch Vig masterclass helping with this album. I couldn't believe what I was listening to the first time I listened to this album, and looking back at it, it just aged very gracefully. There's so many songs on here that are so catchy, my favorite being Drunken Butterfly, or Shoot. I love Shoot too. You know what? No, I'm changing my mind. My favorite song is Shoot. Oh my god, that song, unbelievable. And the consistency on this album is something special, very special, and that's why I have it at S. At first I had it at A, because I was just like, is it better than Daydream Nation? And the more I think about it, the more I believe so. The more I believe that it is S tier and ahead of Bad Moon Rising and Daydream Nation. I mean, the songs on here are crazy. 100%, Swimsuit Issue, Drunken Butterfly, Shoot, Sugarcane. You got Orange Rolls, Angel Spit. I feel like I don't have to say too much anymore about Dirty. It's iconic at this point. Next up on the list, we got The Eternal. Sonic Youth, The Eternal. And that is straight up D action. Their last studio album. And what a shame. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not the worst music I've ever heard in my life, but it's just not for me at all. And it's kind of sad that they left off on an album like this, but you can't really be the most perfect band of all time. It's impossible. So I do like the song Antenna, though. I do. That's a good song. Next up, Evil Sonic Youth. Evil. Is it better than Dirty? Yeah. Yep. This is their best album, in my opinion. I'm just letting you guys know right now. There's no other album that is better than this album in my mind and in my amazing opinion, because I'm the best, right? No, I'm joking about being the best, but I do believe this is their best album without a shadow of a doubt. See how perfectly that lined up? I didn't even write that. I didn't even make that up. That's a song on the album, if you didn't know. The first time I listened to this album was a couple years ago, where I was in my room and I watched a lot of MTV, 90s MTV on YouTube. So many different clips, different segments that people shared on YouTube that I really appreciate. And one of those MTV segments that they had back in the day was a Sonic Youth one. They played Shadow of a Doubt and they interviewed the band and all that stuff. And once this song, Shadow of a Doubt, started playing, I was utterly mesmerized by this song and this band. Because at that point, I was that educated on music like crazy. I was very into the grunge era, Nirvana, all that stuff. And every time I heard of Sonic Youth, I only heard about the album Goo, which is a shame because, that album is iconic and it's great. Phenomenal album. But at that point, my whole entire idea of Sonic Youth was pure destruction. It was just this grunge thing, even though they're not a grunge band. That's what Sonic Youth was to me. They were just pure destruction. And once I heard this song, I was like, oh my God, there's so many different layers and different music that I've missed out on. And I need to educate myself quick. And that's when I started listening to this album, Evil, like crazy, dude. I literally love this album so much. I wanted to get it tattooed on my body at one point. I'm probably not going to do that just in case, I don't know, something weird happens with Sonic Youth. Never get a band tattoo just in case they have weird stuff going on. Even though I have one on me, I have a Mazzy Star tattoo. Anyways, that's not the point. This album, start to finish, is the prettiest noise ever. It is so pretty, dark, and I've heard the band refer it to as their goth album, which it does make sense. There's elements like that in there, and it totally makes sense. And this is a masterpiece, a masterclass, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. This band achieved such greatness on this album. I couldn't believe it. So the first time I heard this album fully from start to finish, this was at the Goodwill bins when I was with my lovely Alexa. And I listened to the whole thing while we were there. And if you guys don't know the Goodwill bins, that's where there's a bunch of clothes that Goodwill, I don't know, might throw out or something, but they have a bunch of different stuff and you could pay by the pound, get a bunch of clothes, all that stuff. So we were there and I was listening to that the whole time. And I was mesmerized as I was touching dirty ass clothes. Yeah, man, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And I was just like, Alexa, you got to listen to this song, this album. You got to listen to it. And then she listened to it and I think she liked it. Not as much as me though. I don't know. I might be making that up. She might like it as much as me. I don't know. I never asked her. But yeah, dude, that album is astonishing and I have it at S tier. Okay, guys, next album on the tier list, we got Experimental Jet Set, Trash, Butt Cheeks, whatever the heck. And I'm not going to lie to you, I want to like this album way more than I actually do. And that's a shame because it's, I don't know, whenever I think of this era of Sonic Youth, I think they're pretty badass. But this album isn't anything special in my mind. They do have some standout tunes in there, I guess. Bull and Heather. And that's pretty much all I can think of right now. I don't know if anyone would have this at A or S. I would kind of question why you would have it that high. I could see it in the B range. C, B, that's kind of where I have it. I don't think it's anything crazy special. Okay, next up, the iconic Sonic Youth, Goo. This is obviously at S, guys. Obviously at S. What a powerful album. So many bands have been inspired by this album, and specifically this album, and I get it, It's very powerful in the way they delivered absolutely everything. Their message, they got everything across. I would question if you had it lower than an A. But yeah, man, S tier. I think that's pretty easy. I don't have to say much. Next album on the tier list, we got Sonic Youth, Murray Street, and holy cow, this is an A album. No doubt about it. I would have it on par with, okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. I was gonna say I have it on par with Daydream Nation. I think it's a little bit lower than that, but I still think it's, I guess, the same tier. I have it in the same tier. So yeah, man, there's so many good songs on here. Oh my goodness, the performances, the melodies on this album are so nice. There's moments where you're like, man, they calm down a little bit. And I say a little bit because towards the end, there's still that classic Sonic Youth destruction. But most of the time, it's just pretty ass sounds with amazing lyrics and storytelling. Oh my goodness, so underrated. Am I overrating them? I don't care. I believe that they're an A. It's an A album. Next album, we got Sonic Nurse. And this album, I respect it. The instrumentals carry a lot of this album. Not a bad album. Not at all. I would rather listen to this album than Jet Set, Butthole, trash. And it ends very strong. The album ends very strong, even though there were some moments where the album didn't really grab my attention too much. I think it's a C or a B minus maybe at most. C plus is where I pretty much have it. So yeah. Next album on the list, we got New York City Ghosts and Flowers. And I believe this is the first album they made after they got some of their guitars and musical equipment stolen in 99, I believe. I kept that in mind whenever I listened to this album. And dude, surprisingly, this kept me thoroughly entertained throughout, man. It really did keep me entertained. And just because it kept me entertained doesn't mean it's an A or S or anything like that. But I do have it at a C. And you guys are going to call me crazy, man. But I'm going to put it right there. In between Sonic Nurse and Jet Set. The song Small Flowers Crack Concrete felt like the most Jim Morrison / The Doors thing ever. It was poetry, I guess. It was that level of musicality. And yeah, man, it was just very entertaining. There was different noises going on. There was so much variety in sound. And I read all over the internet, and there's a lot of people that really believe this album is garbage. And I'm just like, what are we talking about? This album isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it is not bad at all. At all. That's a very nice album. I guess that's my guilty pleasure album, maybe, if that's a thing. Yeah, man, that thing rocks. That album rocks. Next album on the tier list, we got Rather Ripped, another 2000s Sonic Youth album, and honestly, a bunch of pretty Sonic Youth pop songs, and I'm going to put it at B. I would rather listen to this just a bit more than Sonic Nurse. And yeah, man, it's that sensitive side that I kind of like I guess that's just one of the things I like in bands in general, not just Sonic Youth. But in Sonic Youth, it does feel a little bit more fun to listen to because, Sonic Youth, you're going to get a bunch of guitars thrown at your face. So when they show that little bit of soft side, I do smile a bit, and it makes me rather happy. So yeah, I have it at B. Would I rather listen to it more than 1,000 Leaves? You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. We got Sister, and for the longest time, I regarded this album as probably an A to a B album. No, I don't think I had it at an A, but I did have it at a strong B plus. But I would say I'd probably put it at a high C. Oh my gosh, please. So yeah, like a C plus, probably a B minus. And the reason being, I believe this album is a little bit ahead of their time, like Sonic Youth in general. They have a lot of albums that are just so ahead of their time. And this is one of those albums where it's the instrumentals really take over and make you think and makes you appreciate looking back at the album because there's such good instrumentation, good chemistry with everyone. There's always going to be good chemistry. This band's been together forever, at least at this point, kind of. Schizophrenia is the best song on here, and that's the first song on the album, and things don't really pick up from there or reach that same level, in my opinion. I really appreciate this album because it kind of opened the door for alternative rock to me once I started getting into it. And yeah, I'll always appreciate it, but I have it at a C+. And hell yeah, man. I love that album cover too, by the way. That is so gas. There's so much going on, but it's so beautiful. Yeah, man. Okay, we have a few albums left. I'm gonna ignore this EP, like I said, and move on to Washing Machine. Now, I have made a TikTok and Instagram reel clips about this album and how I have a distaste for it. I've said that I'm not a big fan of this album at all, and that's kind of disrespectful looking back at it, but I still stand by that. Objectively speaking, though, this is not a terrible album. This isn't an F tier, D tier, but I do think it is a C tier because there's a lot of misses on here, man. A lot. But there are some really good songs, like Skip Tracer. That song, probably the best song on here. Probably. Dude, that song is freaking amazeballs. I love that song. And Little Trouble Girl with Kim Deal from the Pixies / the Breeders. Oh my god, that song, really, really good. Really, really, really good. The vocals in the background, top notch. Love Kim Deal. The Diamond Sea outro is OG Sonic Youth, classic Sonic Youth. So I will give you that. But after that, there's just so many misses on here. I just do not mess with this album. The album cover, though, amazing. The Washing Machine in general, top notch. I want a shirt that has that, and I've said it in the clip, dude. I will wear that shirt. No shame whatsoever after everything I've said. I love that graphic. It's so simple, but it's so cool. And yeah, man, Sonic Youth. So I would have it at a high. Bro, okay, there you go. At the top of C, and that's probably going to be my last C inclusion. It's whatever, man. It's not my favorite. It's not the best. I would really question why the hell you would have this at an A or an S. I don't think it's there at all, man. So yeah, man. That's enough of that, though. And finally, the Whitey album. Man, I believe a side project from what I read, like I said earlier in the video. And when I listened to this album, it kind of gave me that same evil vibe. I have it at A. That album is very good. And if you don't want to count it because it's a side project, I guess, I understand. And there's different members and stuff in the band or whatever. It is what it is. This is my final list. Please ignore the Sonic Youth debut EP because it's an EP. So yeah. What do we think? Am I tripping or am I not tripping? I think this is pretty good. Pretty good ending. Pretty good list. Tier ranking Sonic Youth's albums. Okay. The Eternal at D. Jet Set Trash, New York Ghosts and Flowers, Sonic Nurse, Sister, and Washing Machine at C. 1,000 Leaves, Rather Ripped, Confusion is Sex at B. The Whitey album, Murray Street, Daydream Nation, Bad Moon Rising at A. We got Dirty, Goo, and Evil at S tier. That is the best list I have ever seen in my life. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if I'm tripping or if I'm the best tier list ranker of all time. This has been Sonic Youth's discography tier listed. Thank you for watching. I think I said that already. Like and subscribe. Keep the music alive. Sonic Youth will never die.